Until recently, documenting human rights abuses was an often time-consuming process and sometimes very imprecise. Technology has been used as a tool to fight against human rights abuses and also in the promotion and protection of human rights. On the Game Changer documentary for this month, we'll be focusing on institutions that are using technology to fight against human rights abuses. This could be a real game changer.
Hello, my name is Courtney Mkoy. I'm the founder and CEO of Cotlex Technologies, which owns Astria Justice. So Astria Justice is a mobile application that came about as a realization of the major challenges that are faced when people try to access justice. This speaks to affordability of justice and also the time frame taken for an individual to access justice. Statistically speaking, you'd notice that world over, about 5.1 billion people are failed by the justice system annually. And in Zimbabwe here, in a more local context, in the first 3 months of 2020, more than 105,000 people had been arrested. And we're talking of people being arrested in an economy where more than 72% of the population, according to World Bank reports, do not live below the poverty datum line. And accessing justice, we all know that accessing justice is quite a long process that needs you to have lawyers. So what we did, really realizing all these challenges, also bearing in mind the constant human rights violations taking place within the country, we thought that technology can be of help in addressing these challenges. So what we did is we came up with the idea of Astria Justice. Maybe you may want to know what Astria is. Astria is the Greek goddess of justice. So we came up with this idea, and here we are today with the mobile application available on Google Play Store and making the impact that we never thought it would make. Various people have downloaded the application and testimonials are coming along from all directions, all corners of Zimbabwe. People being able to use this application in many ways because there's a different number of functions which are amazing. Some of which include find a lawyer, which allows you in any part of the country that you are to find the closest lawyer who can help you in any matter that you need regarding justice. You're also empowered to know your rights. It's a collection of the rights as contained in the Bill of Rights of the Constitution and also in other pieces of legislation. We have functions that also include a database of police conducts from across the country, be it in urban or rural settings. So suppose maybe you are wherever you are, you have just visited Mutoko and you don't know the number to the nearest police station. You have a friend, Astria Justice. We have also noticed that when people get arrested, they don't really know what to say and what not to say to the police. And in the process, people may end up incriminating themselves. So what we have done is we have included a to officers function. So this function allows you, just when you click it, to know what to say to the police and what not to say to the police whenever you have been arrested. So these are some of the amazing functions that are found within Astria Justice and available for download on Google Play Store. And also, you would want to know this, that in the coming 2 weeks, we will be having an upgrade to Astria Justice, which will include artificial intelligence system that will have sort of like an assistant lawyer in areas to do with traffic safety for motorists, family law, and employment law. So what you just need to do would be asking a question: what are spot fines? How much am I supposed to pay? That is all for you, for free, available on Play Store.
Courtney, congratulations on Astria Justice.
Thank you so much.
I think it's a brilliant app. And I mean, I'm looking at the app right now, and you know, it has different tabs where you have organizations that can help you, your rights, find a lawyer, court contacts, and police contacts.
Yes.
I just want to quickly go to your rights. And it's interesting that you basically break down the right to life, right to personal liberty. And one interesting aspect is when arrested.
Yes.
Where it is written anyone, it includes the government, court, police, army, your boss at work, your husband or wife. So you actually say when arrested, section 50 of the Constitution says that you have the right to remain silent and deny everything before your lawyer arrives. Do not sign or write anything you do not understand.
Exactly.
And most people don't understand
Most
this.
people don't,
Yeah. And you actually say, okay, the section, not you, the section 50 says, try by all means to record everything that happens, ask or try to get the police officer force number.
Force number, yeah.
Yes, and the police must treat you with dignity and respect. It is your right.
Yes.
So, you know, when we see the human rights abuses starting to happen, when you're trying to defend yourself as an individual.
Exactly.
And section 50 actually says police must treat you with dignity and respect.
Exactly.
And we see nothing being done about, you know, these abuses. I mean, what can you say about that?
I think the most important thing that we realized is that people don't really know their rights.
Right.
And when you don't know, you are interacting with the police, you don't know how they must treat you,
Right.
what rights you have.
Right.
There is nothing that you really can do or can say. So we thought this as a basic starting point.
Yeah.
This is information that is already in the Constitution, but the legal jargon within our laws, we tried to break it down so that people understand it in the layman's language. Also realizing the need maybe even to translate it to Shona and Ndebele,
Yes.
so that people really understand that when you're interacting with the police, it is your right, as the Constitution says, that they must treat you
With dignity.
respect. Exactly.
Right. And you know, what's interesting about Astria Justice app is, you know, you can quickly go to the organizations that can help you.
Exactly.
And you can quickly find a lawyer from all over Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Courtney, I think this is a big milestone, especially for Zimbabweans, you know, that need this sort of information right at their fingertips at the end of the day. When did you launch this?
This was launched on 20 July
2021.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations, and I wish
Thank
you
you
all
so
the best.
much. Thank you
I
so
will
much.
definitely be downloading this app to make sure that the information is at my fingertips whenever I need it.
Astria, a human rights remedy mobile application, has various features, one of which is that educating and enlightening every individual of their constitutionally enshrined rights. Behind every big idea, there's a team that understands the vision. And when it comes to technology, an application developer is a critical team member who is responsible for ensuring user needs are met through the deployment and updates of software.
Hi, how are you? I'm Nyasha Karodza, and I'm part of the Astria team. We're developing an app that can help individuals like me and you to navigate the challenges of this world, like the law issues, the human rights issues, and what do I do when I get in trouble. So, in the process, this whole app came through the idea of I had an issue with the police once, so the police stopped me. And I wasn't able to know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So then, after a while, I realized that no, everyone should have a right to understand, to know their right and understand what to do when the police officer stops them, or things like that. So that's when Courtney came up with the idea, no, we should create an app that gives everyone around us knowledge of the law, knowledge of our rights and what we can do and what we can't do. So that's when we started, the journey started, and we created the Astria app. Starting from things like courts, which courts can I go to? If I want to get married, where can I go? If I have a civil issue, where can I go? Or who can help me as well? Like lawyers, police officers, nurses, and help. So that's when we started gathering information about all those organizations that are around us, that can help us. When we gathered everything together, that's when we realized that we can create an app that has got everything together: the law, the courts, and the organization that can help you. So in the process of creating this whole app, we gathered information about police officers, police stations, health clinic facilities. So the challenges that we faced were actually resource issues and time issues, because we wanted to get this app as soon as possible on the market. So those are the main challenges that we are facing. Then the impact that we would like to have on the world, or within Zimbabwe as well. We would like to empower everyone with knowledge about the law, about their rights and issues due to police misconduct and all those. So it will help us to become it will help you actually and help me become better at dealing with the cases of the law, instead of not knowing what to do when we're having issues with the law. So that will be the main impact that we'd like to have on the world.
Social media is increasingly helpful to not only monitor emerging human rights emergencies, but also to uncover human rights abuses and educate citizens on their rights. But now citizens can go beyond just using social media. Citizens can now get information right at their fingertips to report cases and to have a voice to speak out their rights.
Hi. So my favorite part on this Astria Justice app is, like, when you launch the app, there's a part that says to officers, like to police officers on the right, extreme right side. And on that, when you launch that part, it says, you can say, like, when you're approached by a police officer who's trying to bully you, like sometimes they want to bully us, right? You can say, like they say in the US, I plead the Fifth Amendment. In Zim, you say, I plead Section 70 and I refuse to speak to you. And then you keep quiet. I've actually used this Section 70 here in Zim, where, like, in my hood, they like to just walk around and bully people and collect money. Unfortunately, not everyone, but some people. So I said that, I launched my app and then I reread. Then I said, I plead Section 70 and I refuse to answer any of your questions. And then I kept quiet. And then the guy looks at me and says, who are you? And then I just kept staring at him. And then he says, okay, have a good day. And then he walked away. So that's just my favorite part. And I think, like, in Zim, most of us don't know these things. And one other thing, again, I like about the app, there's a part that says know your rights. And then they tell you, like, when you're arrested, what do you do? When you're approached, how should the police treat you, type of thing. And by the way, I'm not afraid of the police. It's just that it's very interesting. I actually didn't know that you're supposed to be treated with dignity by the police. They just do whatever they want, right? So that's my favorite part. The police part is my favorite, but there's more stuff, like where to get a lawyer. They've got like a whole list of places you can get a lawyer. So go check it out.
I'm working on a project with some diaspora community, let me say foreign investors, and I was having challenges when it comes to drafting of agreements and contracts and so forth. and I was then introduced to this Astria application. When I visited it, I realized there are some legal practitioners there, links and contacts details, and I had to approach some of these guys. They advised me. I managed to get advice which I was looking for on how to draft an agreement that will keep me safe from investors and any other person I will be dealing with concerning my business and the contractual obligation that I need to meet. So, to be honest, it has helped me a lot, and I'm sure I will keep using it and recommending it to more people and more organizations. From the achievement that we managed to get, I can simply say the agreement that I have managed to prepare now are convincing even to the investors. They are now willing to work with me. They are now willing to invest more in Zimbabwe. They are now willing to put money in all the projects that they intend to do back home.
If technology is going to truly revolutionize the way governments, civil society, and citizens deal with human rights abuses, support and awareness is needed. Experts in the technology industry in Africa have their doubts, but they are hopeful as they know they are opportunities.
So in terms of applications like this existing, there are certain challenges that reduce their uptake within society, especially considering Africa as well as in Zimbabwe. So if you look at the internet penetration rate in Africa, it stands at around 26% right now. So only 26% of that population is going to be able to have access to these apps. But also, that 26% is not really the target for this app, because these are people who kind of already have an understanding of the situation behind human rights and the like, and the target community for these apps are people outside of that 26%, which then makes it very difficult for these apps to reach the people that are going to benefit from them the most. And then taking the situation back home, you notice that most of the people that have internet access are living off social media bundles, which again don't really make these apps work, because these apps require the full fat data. And that's on the market side of things for the apps. When we also get to look at the social side of things when it comes to the apps. So on the dev side of things, you need developers who have the experience and also the expertise to be able to create these apps. And in a lot of cases, it's difficult to find the talent that also has the interest within these areas that these apps will work in, within the humanitarian side of things. And that's another challenge that these apps face in terms of their prevalence. For someone to be able to come up with a vision that a developer can be translated to, and they can develop an app that fully encompasses that vision of what the app is about. And the other one is, it's a bit of a chicken and egg when it comes to developers and the market. So a developer usually is incentivized to create an app if there is a market for it, if there are people that are already out there ready to use that app. And if there are no people that are ready to use that app, then a developer focuses on something else. Same goes for the people that then look for the app. They want an app that works for them, that has the functions they need from it. And if that app doesn't exist, then no one looks for it. But there is a silver lining to it. I mean, if you look in Zimbabwe, the mobile penetration rate stands at 87%. So if these apps are to, let's say, be developed in a way that they can work offline, or if there are USSD codes which can actually allow people to access such services digitally, it helps a lot more people to be able to benefit from these services, especially the target market that requires these services the most. The app itself can be zero rated, and by zero rated it just means that a user can be able to access services of the app without having any data within their smartphone. And it's a simple conversation that the app developer and the MNO can discuss so that the MNO can make that app available to the subscribers offline. And another thing is these apps can also be USSD based. So that means this app can work with USSD in the background in a way that makes it work offline without the need for the conversation of zero rating as well. Technology can also help with awareness of the existence of such apps and such services. And this awareness can then make a lot of people understand that, hey, there is an app like Astria which helps me understand the judicial side and the law side of my rights. There is Civio, which will look at policy tracking to see how many promises have been made to me and how many of those have been fulfilled. And these can then be a lot more useful to a lot of people just by them knowing that they exist.
My name is Jacob Kudzai Mtisi. My specialty is ICT. Now that technology has grown and it's now being used as a tool for fighting human rights, it means that if you look at the population of Zimbabwe, it's 16 million and the mobile penetration is 102%, which means there's more mobile devices than the human beings themselves. It means everybody has got access to a mobile phone, not that they own one. That provides a great opportunity for fighting human rights because you can be on WhatsApp, you can be on Facebook. You've got a device that allows you to record what is happening around you. It goes a step further. There are also other facilities that are there. For example, you have been stopped by a police officer. You feel that your rights are being violated. You can use the device to record the violation. You are about to encounter in a violent encounter. You can also record that using the mobile devices that you have. But it doesn't stop there. There is other methodologies or other apps. As we are progressing, there are other mobile applications that are there. For example, a panic button, whereby you feel your device or your life is being violated. You can click on your power button on your phone. It automatically starts recording what is happening. We can go a step further. Does an average Zimbabwe know his right? His rights as a citizen of the country. Have you read the Constitution? The Constitution is now a mobile application. Does an average Zimbabwean know what criminal codification is? Criminal codification is now a mobile application. So there are so many possibilities of fighting human rights by using the devices or using the technology that is on your fingertips. Yesteryear, as a citizen of the city, you were not equipped. I'm talking about before technology came into effect. You were not equipped to fight for your rights. Sometimes you would be beaten up. Sometimes you'd be insulted. Sometimes you'd be threatened. But now, with the technology around, imagine domestic violence is now being recorded. Human violations are now being recorded, not by yourself, but by those who are around you, using the devices that they have, using the technologies that they have, using the mobile applications that are at their disposal.
Civio Institute is an independent organization focused on ensuring that citizens are at the center of the processes of socioeconomic and policy change. It aims to contribute towards Zimbabwe's inclusive socioeconomic transformation. through its Zim Citizens Watch application and website, which is an independent platform that tracks the performance and effectiveness of the government of Zimbabwe based on the pledges made in the manifesto and other important policy pronouncements. It is changing the game in helping citizens actively participate in their communities and hold leaders accountable.
Good day, my name is Tendai Murisa. I'm the Executive Director here at CVO Institute, the creators of ZimCitizensWatch.org. The ZimCitizensWatch.org is a platform that tracks the conversion of government promises made by the political party that became the ruling party that then formed the government in 2018 after the elections. And we took all the promises that had been put in the ZANU-PF manifesto, clustered them, broke them down to 240 promises, clustered them around 7 areas, and those 7 areas are sort of what we saw the promises fitting in. The idea behind coming up with a tracker of the conversion of promises into policies is inspired by the need to make democracy a lived reality. In many instances, we've reduced democracy to elections, but we thought that democracy should be seen as a day-to-day activity. And in many instances, we forget what politicians or political parties promise us during the heady days of campaigns. And in this instance, we thought, let's create an accountability tool to track the sincerity of government in terms of converting its own promises. In many instances, for those of us who work in the governance space, the interest is always to do with saying, is government complying with certain maybe treaties or agreements they will have signed at the AU, at SADC, or at the UN. But we felt like this time, let's just see how they commit to promises they made on their own. So as we speak, the tracker is still live. We've been tracking. It's an open access tracker. We've been tracking since day one. And in the process, we also write reports from that tracker. Every 6 months, we produce a report on the performance of government. And we combine that report with also what we do when we go to the field. Every year, we go to the field once in all the 10 provinces of Zimbabwe, where we then speak to citizens, where a representative sample on the basis of their satisfaction on government's performance. And we combine that to say, vis-a-vis what government promised, this is what they've achieved, but these are also citizens' expectations. But combined to that, I think for us is the idea of saying we want to create daily conversations about the democracy that we want as citizens. A democracy that is not just defined by dates of elections, but a democracy that is defined by the delivery by the political party and government on what is going on. And even now, as we do that, we still face the elephant in the room in Zimbabwe. The Zimbabwean political landscape is characterized by polarization. So trying to bring a conversation where we objectively discuss what government has achieved and what government has failed to achieve. Again, at times it becomes consumed or sort of suppressed by the sort of the polarization that we have, where people are trying to box you on the basis of what you are saying, to say which political party do you belong to. But for us is to say the data we are producing through ZimCitizensWatch.org is data that is based on what government itself is saying through the cabinet reports that they issue after every cabinet meeting and a collation of materials from other newspapers, and to put it across to say this is the basis for policy discussion in the country. And we have said that what we are doing is policy analysis in real time, because we try to make sure that we are up to date on a day-to-day basis with what government is doing. And this is, you are not alone in doing this. We're part of a broader accountability movement that has emerged across the globe. In Nigeria, they have what they call the Buhari meter, which does almost the same like what we're doing here. In Canada, they have the Trudeau meter. And in the UK, they also had another one that used to analyze Theresa May, the Theresa May meter. But I'm not so sure if there's a new one that analyzes what Boris Johnson is doing. But like I said, this is a new understanding to say governments have to be held accountable based on the promises that they make to the citizenry. And you may ask then, what are we doing with this information? For us is to begin to say the citizenry that we are helping nurture when it comes to elections in 2023, can go back to our archives and look to say, is this the party that I want to vote for based on the promises they made and also the actions that they've managed to accomplish? So for us is to begin to say, in many instances, especially even in 2018, when we asked people about how they are going to be making choices on who to vote for, we're hoping that come 2023, we'll see an improvement on that cohort that says that we are try to be informed by government performance, try to be informed by what is put in the manifesto, because for us it's just not a manifesto, but a manifesto is a commitment of action. So when you begin to say that this some party that you want to vote for this year managed to accomplish X number of promises and this is what they achieved, at least we're talking not from a rhetorical perspective but using scientific evidence. So we hope also that this is then material that can be used even by the media in terms of how they sort of interrogate ongoing government policy making, interrogate performance, rather than just to be fed the rhetoric that comes from politicians or government ministers, but they can cross-check with the evidence that is on the ground. So in a nutshell, that's what Zim Citizens Watch org does.
Hi, my name is Michael Zianzu and I am the lead developer behind Zim Citizens Watch, which is a public policy platform that tracks the promises that the incumbent government made in the run-up to in the run-up to the 2018 elections. So we are a bit on the process behind developing the platform. I think with any digital artifact, you always have to start from somewhere. So we referenced from existing platforms that were doing similar work globally. So the first one that we looked at within an African context was the Buhari meter in Nigeria, that was tracking the implementation of the platform that the president of Nigeria ran on. Then we also referenced the Trudeau meter from Canada, to see what works and what doesn't work, what we might incorporate onto our own platform. So the takeaways that we got from there, we then implemented in developing Zim Citizens Watch. But again, as I think one of the biggest challenges that we got or that we encountered was translating such copious amounts of qualitative data into succinct points or visualizations that people can just take away from one look without making a double take. Was the pinnacle of the challenges that we faced. So one of the things that we then decided, the thought process behind designing Zim Citizens Watch included us sitting in on the meetings of analyzing the manifesto or the platform that I think the four major parties were running on in 2018. That gave us intimate know-how into the thought processes and the promises that the governments were making, or the governments in waiting or potential governments were making. Then the level of use of the app was always a concern for us. Who was the app intended for? So to address this, one of the things that we did is we had to add a high level of visualizations so that if someone was to view the app without necessarily getting into a deep dive, they could off the cuff just see what the app was, what it was communicating. And then for us, the impact that we are hoping the app makes is tied to the landscape that we have, I think politically, but broadly even socially, where we have sort of moved towards a post-truth society with the advent of technology, it's so easy for someone to present conjecture as fact on social media. So in designing the app, we are hoping that one of the biggest impacts would be the ability for the app to provide factual data on how the government is performing, and with that we are hoping it in turn leads to informed and factual debates, especially as we are nearing yet another election season.
Many international organizations locally, regionally, and internationally are pushing to improve accuracy when it comes to tracking human rights abuses. Let's look at some interesting case studies. SPEC app under the Zimbabwe Peace Project helps in documenting breaches of peace and politically motivated violations in Zimbabwe. It aims to contribute towards building a Zimbabwean citizenry that demands human rights accountability, influence policy reforms, and contribute to peaceful community cohesion in Zimbabwe by 2024. Amnesty International launched the Digital Verification Corps in collaboration with 6 universities around the world to pioneer new approaches to the accurate use of new and emerging technologies to monitor human rights abuses. Witness, a Brooklyn-based NGO that works to share knowledge on the use of technology for human rights accountability, has also developed a comprehensive guide on the use of video as evidence. Another NGO, Eyewitness, has created a mobile camera app that embeds images and footage with metadata from the moment they were created, helping to ensure the accuracy needed to enable their use in legal proceedings.
Doctor, thank you so much for allowing us to come within your space and, to talk about the Citizens Watch app. If I'm a citizen and I go on this app, what exactly am I looking for?
Well, first of all, we are hoping that you're interested in your government, if you're Zimbabwean, or if you're an international visitor, you're interested in how the government of Zimbabwe is doing.
Right.
So on the landing page, you're going to see the summary of promises that have been made.
Mm-hmm. And these are the 237 total promises made.
And they are in the manifesto.
Right.
They are in the ZANU-PF manifesto of 2018.
Right.
Yes. And of those 237, 185 are in progress. Mm-hmm. They have not commenced on 41. 1 has been modified. 5 have been broken. 5 have been fully implemented.
Yeah. That is brilliant, Doctor.
Yeah.
So if I click here, am I able to see the broken promises?
Yes, you'll see the broken promises.
Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So, promises made. 1, uphold and apply fully the rule of law whilst ensuring equality before the law.
That one's been broken. Mm-hmm. We say it's broken because of the 2019 January strikes, if you remember, and how we saw people being shot on the streets, etc.
Yeah.
And also we've been seeing certain cases where people are being arrested and not being given their rights fully before the law. Yeah.
Right. Ensure the Treasury allocates at least 15% of the national budget to healthcare in line with the Abuja Declaration, which is a big one.
Yes. So up until the COVID-19 scare, we've been seeing dwindling resources being allocated towards the Ministry of Health.
Right.
Despite the fact that there's already a commitment that our government is signatory to, the Abuja commitment that all African governments signed to, that they will allocate 15% of their budgets towards health delivery every year. So this one was based on the 2019 budget, where they allocated less than 15%. And even last year, it was not more than 15%.
And I also, whenever we're looking at our government, obviously there are some great things that they're doing.
Sure.
So let's go on the 5 implemented ones, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
The first one is set up commission of inquiry on the 1st of August violence and make the findings of the same public.
Yes, so this is the Mothlante Commission.
Yes.
If you remember very well, the president made this announcement at his inauguration that he was going to investigate in the violence that sort of came soon after the elections.
Yep.
And of course, he followed up with that, setting up the commission of inquiry. And there is there's a report that was published For us, we thought that was a completed action because this is what he committed and it was done within the first 6 months of being in power.
Fantastic, Doctor. Walk with me. So the Zimbabwe government, one of the other promises is the Zimbabwe government will help businesses that had property damaged and goods looted during the January 2019 demonstrations to recover.
Yeah, so we saw that facility being established by government soon after, and I think the first batch of funds was actually released towards businesses in Bulawayo and some here, and we also thought that was a completed promise. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor. And I'm very excited. I will be downloading this app because I think it really helps citizens understand where we are as a country, and it helps, you know, hold our leaders accountable.
Yeah, hopefully so, and also just based on evidence, not on emotions, because at times we do a lot of emotive analysis without proper evidence on both sides, whether you're in the ruling party or you're in the opposition. But this provides sort of an objective discussion on where we are as a country.
Fantastic. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
In just a few years, digital technologies have allowed faster mobilization in response to humanitarian crisis and better documentation of crimes against citizens. Work needs to be done to capitalize on the benefits of digital technologies to advance human rights. It seems increasingly likely that technology has a bright future for ensuring human rights accountability. Although technology won't magically do away with human rights abuses, it's a step in the right direction.